I never thought the woman I loved would destroy me without asking a single question. Sitting alone in that cheap motel room off Route 35, staring at the bruises still visible on my face, in the cracked bathroom mirror, I kept turning my wedding ring between my fingers. Should I keep it or throw it in the dumpster outside? Her family made sure I understood their version of justice. 3 grown men, a locked door, and fists that did not stop until I could not stand anymore. But I am getting ahead of myself. Let me take you back to where it all started to fall apart. Before I tell you how my perfect life turned into a nightmare, I want to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments. If you have ever been falsely accused of something you did not do, hit that like button and subscribe, because this story gets a whole lot worse before it gets better. Trust me, you will want to hear how I fought back after they tried to bury me. So here is what happened. My name is Emmanuel, and at 29 years old I thought I had everything figured out. I was a software engineer at a mid-sized tech company in Austin, Texas, pulling in a decent salary working on projects I actually cared about. I had married Sarah 4 years earlier after dating for 2 years. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue on a scorching July afternoon. She had this smile that made the 100-degree heat feel bearable, and a laugh that made me want to be the reason she kept laughing. Sarah taught 3rd grade at an elementary school across town. She loved those kids like they were her own, spent her own money on classroom supplies, stayed late to help struggling students. She had this warmth about her that drew people in. That is what drew me in. We built a life together in a modest 3-bedroom house in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was ours. Our weekends had a rhythm farmers market on Saturday mornings, where Sarah would hunt for fresh tomatoes and handmade soaps, cooking together in our tiny kitchen, while music played from her phone game nights with friends, where we would laugh until our stomachs hurt. I was dedicated to my work, maybe too dedicated. I would often stay late to meet deadlines, proud of every promotion, every piece of recognition. 3 months before everything fell apart, my company landed a huge client contract. They chose me to lead the development team. It was career-defining, the kind of opportunity that could set us up financially for years. The catch was brutal, though. 8 weeks of grueling work, late nights, weekend sessions. I explained it all to Sarah over dinner. One evening told her it would be temporary. Told her we could take that vacation to Colorado we had been planning once the project wrapped up. She seemed understanding at first, said she was proud of me, but as the weeks ground on, something shifted. I would leave the house at 7 a.m. and not get home until 10 or 11 p.m. I ate dinner alone at my desk most nights, surviving on cold sandwiches and too much coffee. By the time I crawled into bed, Sarah would be asleep or pretending to be. Our conversations became these exhausted exchanges in the dark. Me apologizing her, giving me short responses that I was too tired to decode properly. I noticed her pulling away. The way she would turn her body away from me in bed. The way her kisses became quick pecks instead of the real thing. The way her eyes looked distant when I tried to tell her about my day. I tried to reassure her. Just 6 more weeks, baby, then we will have time together. She would nod and say, sure, Emmanuel. Whatever you say. But there was this edge in her voice I could not quite place. Around week 3 of the project, we brought in a new team member. Amanda had transferred from our Seattle office, a talented developer who made the whole project run smoother. She was professional friendly, married with 2 kids whose photos covered her desk. I thought nothing of it when we worked late together, or when she would make coffee runs for the team, or that one time she gave me a ride when my car was in the shop getting the transmission fixed. I mentioned Amanda to Sarah casually one evening. New teammate, really sharp, making the project go smoother. Sarah gave me this tight smile and said, that is nice. I missed the edge in her voice. I missed a lot of things. Then came that Friday evening 3 weeks into the project. I had just spent 14 hours tracking down a critical bug that was threatening our timeline. I got home after midnight, every muscle in my body aching, my eyes burning from staring at screens. The house was dark except for the living room. Sarah was sitting there in the darkness, arms crossed, waiting. We need to talk. Those 4 words that every spouse dreads. Who is she? Emmanuel. I stood there genuinely confused, my exhausted brain trying to process. Who is who? What are you talking about? Sarah pulled out her phone with this deliberate slowness, like she had been rehearsing this moment. She showed me screenshots of my work calendar, with multiple entries that said, "Meeting with Amanda." She showed me a receipt from a restaurant dated 2 weeks prior time stamped at 11 p.m. She showed me a text message from Amanda that read, "Thanks for tonight. Could not have done it without you," followed by a smiling emoji. I tried to explain. Those calendar meetings were legitimate work sessions in conference rooms, with other people present. The restaurant receipt was from when our entire team ordered food while working late, and I had paid with my card to get reimbursed later. The text from Amanda was about finishing a difficult code module that had taken us hours to debug. All of it had innocent explanations, but Sarah was not listening. Her mind was made up. "You think I am stupid. You have been different for weeks. Distant. Always tired. Always at work. Or so you say." My frustration bubbled up, mixing with my exhaustion into something close to anger. "I have been working, Sarah. This project is killing me, and instead of support, you are accusing me of cheating." She stood up then, her voice rising. "Do not you dare turn this on me. I have been home alone every night while you are out doing God knows what with her." The argument spiraled. We both said things we would regret. I told her I could not believe she did not trust me after 6 years together. She called me a liar, back and forth until we were both shouting, both crying, both too angry to hear each other anymore. Then I made a choice I thought would prove my innocence. "Show me your phone, then," Sarah demanded. "Right now." I handed it over without hesitation. Nothing to hide, nothing to fear. She scrolled through my messages with shaking hands. Found more texts from Amanda. All work-related, but I could see how they might look suspicious if you were already convinced I was guilty. "Cannot wait to see you tomorrow," with a smiley face. Amanda had meant for our morning project meeting. "You are amazing, thank you for everything." That was after I had spent 3 hours helping her debug her code. I explained each message, but Sarah just kept shaking her head. "Emmanuel, these are not work messages. These are flirting messages." "They are not," I said, my voice breaking. "Sarah, please. You know me. You know I would never do this." She looked at me with these cold eyes I had never seen before. "I thought I knew you." Then she said the words that made my stomach drop. "I already told my mother about my suspicions. You did what my family deserves to know what kind of man you really are." I felt the ground shift beneath my feet. Sarah came from a tight-knit family. Her father, Frank, was a retired construction worker with old-school values and hands like concrete blocks. Her mother, Patricia, kept up appearances, but I always felt like I was being judged against some invisible standard. Her brother, Derek, was 2 years older than Sarah, worked as a mechanic, and had always looked at me with suspicion like I was not good enough for his sister. I had spent 4 years trying to prove myself worthy to them, and now Sarah had poisoned that well. "Sarah, you did not," I whispered. She crossed her arms. "They needed to know the truth, but there is no truth to know. I am not cheating on you. I have never cheated on you." She did not respond, just turned and walked to the bedroom, locking the door behind her. I slept on the couch that night, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out how my life had just imploded. I thought maybe we would cool down, talk, rationally, figure this out. I had no idea what was coming. Sunday morning arrived with deceptive calm. Sunlight streamed through the kitchen window as I made coffee, still wearing my old pajama pants and a faded t-shirt. Sarah had gone to her parents' house the day before and had not come back. I figured she needed space time to think. We would talk soon, I told myself. We would fix this. Then came the pounding on my front door. Not a knock. A pounding. Aggressive. Demanding, the kind that makes your heart jump into your throat. I opened the door to find Frank standing there with Derek and another man I recognized as Kyle, Derek's friend from the gym. They were not here to talk. "You thought you could disrespect my daughter," Frank said. No greeting, no preamble, just rage barely contained. "Frank, this is a misunderstanding," I started to say. "If we could just talk about this like adults and figure out what really happened, then maybe we can all calm down." Derek did not let me finish. He shoved me hard, both hands against my chest. I stumbled backward into my own house shock, making me slow to react. All three men came inside, and Derek kicked the door shut behind them. "Get out of my house," I said, trying to sound firm, trying to control the fear rising in my throat. "We can talk, but not like this. This is not okay." "Your house." Frank's face was red veins standing out on his neck. "Everything you have is because of my daughter. You are nothing without her." I opened my mouth to respond, but Kyle grabbed my arm, yanking me off balance. Before I could process what was happening, Derek punched me in the stomach. Hard. All the air left my lungs, and I doubled over, gasping, my coffee mug crashing to the floor. I tried to defend myself, but 3 against 1 is not a fight. It is an execution. Frank punched me across the face. He felt my lip split open, toasted copper flooding my mouth. Derek kneed me in the ribs, and I heard something crack, a sound I felt more than heard. I went down to the floor, tried to curl up into a ball, tried to protect my head with my arms. They kept going, kicks to my back, to my legs, to my arms when I tried to shield myself. Each impact sent lightning bolts of pain through my body. I was begging them to stop, the words coming out broken and desperate. "I did not do anything. Please, stop. I did not cheat on Sarah. Please just listen to me." Liar Frank snarled and kicked me again. "We know all about your whore at work. You think we are stupid." The beating felt like it lasted hours, but it was probably only 3 or 4 minutes. Finally, they stopped. I lay there on my living room floor, my own blood pooling under my face, every breath sending sharp pains through my chest. I could not move, could not think beyond the pain. "Stay away from Sarah," Derek said, standing over me. "You are done." They left, just walked out, leaving my front door hanging open. I lay there on the hardwood floor I had helped install 2 years ago, staring at the ceiling fan slowly rotating above me. Eventually, I managed to crawl to where my phone had fallen. I should have called the police right then, should have reported the assault, gotten them arrested, pressed charges. But all I could think about was escalating the situation, making it worse. Sarah's family going to jail, the endless legal battles. So I just sat there against the wall, bleeding, broken, completely confused about how my life had become this nightmare. After maybe an hour, I managed to stand. Everything hurt. Breathing hurt. Moving hurt. Thinking hurt. I looked at myself in the hallway mirror and barely recognized the face staring back. My lip was split and swollen. One eye was swelling, shut, bruises were already forming across my cheekbone and jaw. I drove myself to urgent care, barely able to grip the steering wheel. The doctor who examined me had kind eyes that turned concerned as he cataloged my injuries. 2 cracked ribs, severe bruising across my torso, and back, a split lip that needed 4 stitches, possible concussion. He asked if I wanted to report an assault. I said no. Biggest mistake I ever made. But in that moment, I just wanted it all to go away. When I got home a few hours later, I found that Sarah had come back while I was gone, but she had not come back to stay. She had come back to pack, and she had not come alone. Her family had returned too, and they had made sure to leave their mark. My television was smashed, screen shattered into spider webs. My laptop, the one with all my work files and personal photos, destroyed. Clothes were torn and scattered across the bedroom. Our wedding photos, every single one, ripped into pieces and left on the bed, and spray painted across our bedroom wall in dripping red letters, "Cheater." Sarah was in the bedroom packing the last of her things into a suitcase. She would not look at me, would not look at my face, at the stitches, at the black eye her family had given me. "You brought this on yourself," she said, her voice flat and cold. I stood in the doorway, something breaking inside me that had nothing to do with my ribs. "I never cheated on you," I said quietly. "Not once. Not ever. In 6 years, I never even looked at another woman the way I looked at you. Save it, Emmanuel." She zipped her suitcase. "Everyone knows what you are now." Those words. Everyone knows. They sent ice water through my veins. What does that mean? What did you do? She finally looked at me then, and I saw no remorse in her eyes. Just certainty. My family posted on Facebook. Nothing specific, Just enough. People can draw their own conclusions. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands, opened Facebook, saw the posts. Frank had written, "Some men do not deserve the families they marry into. Protect your daughters, folks. Do not let them be fooled by smooth talkers who cannot keep their vows." Patricia posted heartbroken for my baby girl tonight, praying for her strength as she deals with betrayal. Cheaters never change, but strong women do not stay with them. Derek had shared an article about infidelity with the caption, "This is what we are dealing with right now. Family has to stick together when someone tries to destroy it from the inside." None of them mentioned my name directly, but everyone in our social circle would know exactly who they meant. The comments were already piling up. "So sorry Sarah has to go through this. She deserves better. Hope she leaves him. Some people are just trash." My phone started buzzing. Text messages, calls, notifications. Friends asking what happened. Some already picking sides. My own mother called crying, asking if the rumors were true. I tried to explain, but I sounded defensive, desperate. I had no proof, just my word against an entire family's narrative. Sarah walked past me with her suitcase. At the door, she stopped. "You should have just been honest," she said. "This all could have been avoided if you had just admitted it. Admitted to something I did not do." My voice cracked. "Sarah, I love you. I have always been faithful to you. How can you not see that?" She left without answering. I heard her car pull out of the driveway, and then I was alone in my destroyed house with my destroyed life. Monday morning made everything worse. I dragged myself to work, could barely move from the pain in my ribs. My boss took one look at my face and called me into his office. Someone anonymous, of course, had sent an email to the company's human resources department about an inappropriate relationship between me and Amanda. The email included screenshots of our work messages carefully cropped to remove context made to look like flirting, or worse. "We need to investigate this," my boss said. He looked uncomfortable, almost apologetic. "I want to believe you, Emmanuel, but we have to take this seriously." Amanda was interviewed. She confirmed everything was professional, showed her own message logs, vouched for my character, but the damage was already done. I could feel my coworkers watching me differently. Conversations would stop when I walked by. The coffee room would empty out. People who had been friendly before now avoided eye contact. Amanda, clearly uncomfortable with the whole situation, requested to be moved to a different team. I do not blame her. She had done nothing wrong but got dragged into my nightmare anyway. Within a week, I was removed as the project lead. The project I had killed myself for, worked 80-hour weeks for, sacrificed my marriage for. They gave it to someone else. Clients started requesting that I not be assigned to their accounts. The rumors had spread that fast, that far. 2 weeks after the assault, I was put on administrative leave pending investigation. They did not say I was fired, but we all knew what it meant. They were building a case to let me go quietly, avoiding a lawsuit. I could not afford my house anymore without income. My savings were draining fast between legal consultations about the divorce and just trying to survive. I moved into a cheap motel off Route 35, the kind with flickering neon signs and stains on the carpet that you tried not to think about too hard. 3 weeks after the attack, I hit rock bottom. I sat on the edge of that motel bed looking at myself in the mirror across from it. I had lost 20 pounds. My face looked gaunt, hollow. The physical injuries were healing, but the emotional wounds just kept getting deeper. I was not sleeping maybe 3 or 4 hours a night, always waking up in a panic. Some friends stood by me. Marcus, my best friend, since college, kept calling, kept checking in. But even he sounded uncertain sometimes. "Man, I want to believe you, but I do not know what to think. Sarah's family is saying some pretty specific things." I understood. Sarah's family had run a masterful campaign. They painted me as a master manipulator, a serial cheater, an emotional abuser who gaslit his poor, innocent wife. I had no evidence to prove them wrong, because how do you prove a negative? How do you prove you did not do something? I met with a divorce lawyer, could not afford a good one. The consultation made it clear that Sarah's family had money and connections and would bury me in legal fees if I tried to fight. The lawyer suggested I just sign whatever papers came through, walk away, start over. That night alone in that motel room, I stared at my reflection for a long time. I barely recognized the broken man looking back at me. I thought about my father who had died of a heart attack 2 years earlier. He used to say that a man's character gets tested when everyone thinks the worst of him. I wished I could call him, ask him what to do, hear his voice telling me it would be okay. I made a decision that night. I could not fight Sarah's family, could not change people's minds, could not fix my reputation, or my career, or my marriage. But I could survive. I could just exist, breathe, heal, wait. I stopped trying to convince anyone, stopped defending myself, just focused on getting through each day. I did not know it yet, but everything was about to change. 5 weeks after that beating, my phone rang. The human resources director from my company. "Emmanuel, we need you to come in," she said. Her voice sounded different, less formal, more human. I went expecting to be officially fired. Instead, I walked into a conference room to find Amanda and my former boss waiting for me. "Emmanuel," Amanda said, looking genuinely upset. "I owe you an apology, a massive one." It turned out Amanda had been bothered by how everything went down. Something felt wrong to her about the timing, about how quickly the rumors spread, about how coordinated it all seemed. So she started digging. She reviewed security footage, checked email logs, talked to people. She discovered that Sarah had been calling our office repeatedly, asking the receptionist about my schedule, about who I was working with when I was leaving. One receptionist, who had since been fired for unrelated reasons, had been feeding Sarah information and making assumptions, telling her that I was always with Amanda, that we seemed close, planting seeds of suspicion. But the real revelation came when Amanda identified Kyle, Derek's gym buddy, who had helped beat me. He worked in the building next door to ours. Security footage showed him in our parking lot on multiple occasions, taking photos with his phone. Photos of me and Amanda. Amanda managed to get copies of those photos through some creative social engineering I did not ask about. They were damning at first glance. Me and Amanda laughing over coffee, Amanda's hand on my shoulder, us leaving the building together late at night. But when you looked closer, the photos were cropped and manipulated. The coffee photo was zoomed in to remove our laptops and work documents spread across the table. The shoulder touch was actually Amanda reaching past me for a stapler, frozen at the exact moment it looked intimate. The late-night photo cut out the other 3 team members walking with us to our cars. These photos had been sent to Sarah anonymously, but Amanda traced the metadata. They came from Kyle's phone. Amanda kept digging. The restaurant receipt that Sarah had shown me, the one time stamped at 11 p.m. Sarah had torn off the itemized section. Amanda got a copy from the restaurant. It showed 10 different meals, ordered clearly a team dinner. My name was on it because I had paid with my company card for reimbursement, standard procedure. Amanda presented everything to my boss and HR. They were horrified. "Emmanuel, your job is waiting for you," my boss said. "Full back pay for the suspension, a formal apology, a promotion, if you wanted a raise. Whatever it takes to make this right." I sat there looking at the evidence of my innocence spread across the conference table. I should have felt relief, should have felt vindicated. Instead, I just felt numb. "That is it," I said quietly. 5 weeks of hell, and it is just sorry. Come back." My boss looked uncomfortable. "We made a mistake, Emmanuel. A serious one. We are prepared to make significant amends." "I need time to think about it," I said. But the important thing, the critical thing, was that I finally had proof. Physical evidence, documentation, witness statements. I asked for copies of everything. Amanda made sure I got them all organized in a folder with tabs and timestamps. Bless her. Time to confront Sarah. I called her that evening. She did not want to answer, but I kept calling until she finally picked up. "We need to talk," I said. "I have something to show you." "I have nothing to say to you, Emmanuel." "Fine. Then just listen. Starbucks on 6th Street. 1 hour. Bring whoever you want, I do not care. But you need to see this." She showed up with her mother, Patricia. I brought Marcus for backup. We sat at a corner table far from other customers. I laid out the evidence methodically. The security footage showing Kyle taking photos, the manipulated images side by side with the originals, the full restaurant receipt, work emails, proving every late night was legitimate. Amanda's sworn statement. Sarah's face went pale as she looked through it all. Her hands started shaking when she got to the photos, seeing how they had been cropped and manipulated to look like something they were not. Patricia tried to dismiss it. This could all be fabricated, she said, but her voice lacked conviction. "Call the company," I said calmly. "Call Amanda yourself. I have witness statements from 6 co-workers. I have security logs showing exactly when I entered and left the building every single day. I have everything documented and verified. This is not fabricated. This is the truth you should have asked for 5 weeks ago, before your family beat me half to death and destroyed my life." Sarah started crying, the kind of crying where you can barely breathe. "Oh my God," she kept saying. "Oh my God, what did we do? You believed a lie." I said, my voice steady but hard. "You believed it without asking me, without trusting me, without giving me any benefit of the doubt after 6 years together. And then you sent your family to attack me. You destroyed my home, my career, my reputation. You told everyone I was a cheater and let them draw their own conclusions. I thought Kyle saw you kissing her," Sarah sobbed. "He said he saw you in the parking lot, that it was obvious what was going on. I thought I had proof. And you believed him over your husband." Patricia leaned forward, still trying to defend the indefensible. "She had evidence, Emmanuel. We were just protecting her. Any family would do the same." I turned to look at Patricia. Really look at her. "You encouraged this," I said quietly. "Your husband and son assaulted me in my own home, put me in urgent care with cracked ribs and a concussion, destroyed my property, ruined my career, spread lies about me to everyone we know, and you are still making excuses." Sarah reached for my hand across the table. I pulled away before she could touch me. "Emmanuel, please. I am so sorry. I was scared and confused, and I thought I had evidence, and I just reacted. And I know that is not an excuse, but please, we can fix this. I will tell everyone the truth. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. I love you." I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman I had married, who had promised to love and trust me through everything, who had chosen to believe manipulated photos and her family's suspicions over 6 years of faithfulness. "You do not destroy someone you love," I said. Patricia started to interrupt. "Now wait just a minute. You need to understand." "No," I cut her off, standing up. "I am done waiting. I am done understanding. Sarah, you will be hearing from my lawyer. I want a divorce. Please do not do this." Sarah begged, standing too, reaching for me. "It was a mistake. We made a horrible mistake, but we can fix it. Please, I am begging you." "Yes," I said, gathering up the evidence folder. "It was a mistake. Marrying you was my mistake." I walked out. Marcus followed behind me. Behind us, I could hear Sarah sobbing, Patricia raising her voice, calling after me. I kept walking. I walked out of that Starbucks and I kept walking down 6th Street, the evening air cool on my face, and for the first time in 5 weeks I could breathe. Marcus caught up to me, put a hand on my shoulder. "You okay, man?" "No," I said, "but I will be." I hired a lawyer the next day. Her name was Diane, a tough woman in her 50s, who specialized in contentious divorces. She listened to my story, looked through my evidence, and smiled. Not a happy smile. A predatory smile. "We are going to bury them in paperwork and consequences," she said. I filed for divorce. Filed for a restraining order against Frank and Derek. Filed a civil suit for assault, battery, property damage, and defamation. Diane was thorough and merciless. Frank tried to reach out through a text message. I was protecting my daughter. You would have done the same. I blocked his number and forwarded the message to Diane. Evidence. Derek left a voicemail. "Man, we were wrong. We messed up. Let us talk this out. Figure out how to make it right." I saved it as evidence and never responded. Sarah called repeatedly. I never answered. She sent letters, pages and pages of apologies and explanations, and begging for another chance. I read the first one. It was filled with excuses about how scared she had been, how convincing the evidence looked, how much she loved me, how we could overcome this together. I threw the rest away unopened. At work, I went back long enough to clean out my desk and give my 2 weeks' notice. My boss tried desperately to convince me to stay, offered counteroffers, more money, better position, anything I wanted. You believed I was a cheater without proof, I told him. You suspended me and destroyed my reputation here. I cannot work for people who did that to me. I am done. I had already been job hunting, found a better position at a competing firm, 20% higher salary, significant signing bonus. Used that bonus to move into a better apartment downtown, a high-rise with a doorman and a view. Started over. Slowly, carefully, I rebuilt my social circle. The friends who had stood by me, I kept close. Marcus never wavered, not once. New friends who knew the whole truth and respected how I had handled it. People started seeing the evidence as it leaked out through mutual connections. Public opinion shifted. Sarah's family started looking worse and worse. The more truth came out. I did not gloat, did not rub it in anyone's face. Just lived my life quietly, focused on healing, on moving forward. I started therapy, dealing with the trauma of being attacked, of being falsely accused, of watching my life burn down while being helpless to stop it. My therapist diagnosed me with mild post-traumatic stress disorder. We worked through it. Slowly, session by session, I started putting myself back together. I learned things about myself I had not wanted to face. I had been too accommodating with Sarah's family, too eager to prove I was good enough for them. I had lost parts of myself trying to be what they wanted. Never again. I started boxing classes. Learning to fight back felt empowering, therapeutic. Every punch I threw into those bags was another piece of anger released, another step toward healing. 6 months after that beating, I sat in a courthouse signing the final divorce papers. The divorce was settled. I owed Sarah nothing. Clean break. As part of the settlement, Sarah had to publicly retract her accusations on social media. She posted a long apology, admitting she had been wrong, that I had never cheated, that she had believed, manipulated evidence, and destroyed a good marriage based on lies. The comments on her post were brutal. People calling her out, saying she destroyed a good man over nothing. I did not read them, did not care what anyone said about her anymore. She was not my problem anymore. The civil suit settled out of court. Frank and Derek paid $25,000 in damages, plus all my medical bills, therapy costs, and lost wages. They never apologized in person. Just had their lawyer write a check. I did not want their money as much as I wanted acknowledgement that they had been wrong. The check was enough. The restraining order was made permanent. They had to stay 500 feet away from me at all times. If I saw them on the street, they had to leave. I saw Sarah one last time at the courthouse signing those papers. She looked smaller somehow, like life had hollowed her out. Older, tired. "I know you will never forgive me," she said quietly. "I just want you to know you deserved so much better than what I gave you." "Yes," I said simply. "I did." That was the last time we spoke. I walked out of that courthouse and drove to my new apartment and stood on the balcony looking out at the Austin skyline, and I felt lighter. Not happy exactly, but free. The weight I had been carrying for months finally lifted. I threw myself into my new job, thrived there. My coworkers respected me, trusted me. I made new friends, people who knew my story and admired how I had handled the worst time of my life with dignity. After 8 months, I started dating again. Nothing serious at first, just learning to trust again, learning to let people in. Then I met Taylor at a coffee shop downtown, a graphic designer with kind eyes and an easy laugh. We talked for hours that first day. I was cautious, took things slow, told her the whole story on our 4th date, half expecting her to run. "That is horrible," she said simply. "I am glad you got out. No drama, no judgment, just acceptance." That was when I knew I could love again someday. Some of my old friends who had doubted me during the crisis reached out eventually. Some apologized. I forgave them. "You did not have all the facts," I said. "I understand." Others never reached out. I let them go. No room in my life for fair-weather friends anymore. I visited my father's grave one afternoon, sat in the grass next to his headstone, told him everything that had happened. I hope I made you proud, Dad. I stood up for myself. I did not let them break me. The wind rustled through the oak trees around the cemetery, and I chose to believe that was his answer. My mother told me later that she had never doubted me, not once. Even when the evidence looked damning, even when everyone else was picking sides. I knew my son, she said. I raised you. I know your character. That meant everything to me. Physically, I healed completely. The ribs mended, the bruises faded, the scars became barely visible. Emotionally took longer. I still had nightmares sometimes about that morning, about the door pounding, about fists and kicks and being helpless. I had anxiety when someone knocked on my door too loudly. But therapy helped, time helped, building a new life helped. 1 year after that attack, I looked at myself in the mirror of my new apartment, saw someone stronger, wiser, harder in some ways, but not broken. The man looking back at me had survived hell and come out the other side. That counted for something. I heard through mutual friends that Sarah was in therapy too, dealing with guilt and regret, that her relationship with her family had fractured. She had pulled away from Frank and Derek, apparently could not forgive them for what they had done. Patricia blamed herself. Their family was falling apart. I felt nothing about it. Not satisfaction, not pity, just indifference. They were not my problem anymore. Not my family. Not my responsibility. If someone asked me if I would change anything, if I could go back, I thought about it sometimes. Maybe marry someone different. But then I would not have learned these lessons about trust and boundaries and self-worth. Maybe fight back during that attack. But violence was not who I am, and I refused to let them change that about me. No, I decided. I would not change it. The pain shaped me, made me stronger, taught me my worth, taught me that I could survive anything. The lessons I learned, I want to share them. If someone accuses you, falsely, hold on. The truth will come out eventually. It might take time, might take longer than you want, but truth has a way of surfacing. If people attack you without proof that says everything about them and nothing about you, their actions reveal their character, not yours. You are allowed to walk away from people who hurt you, even if they apologize later. Forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still keep your distance. You can acknowledge their apology and still choose not to let them back into your life. Your peace matters more than their comfort. I am happy now, successful, building something good with Taylor. Still have rough days where the memories hit harder than I expect. Still have scars, physical and emotional. But I built something better from the ruins of that old life. Something stronger, something mine. And that is enough. Sometimes I wonder if Sarah thinks about that day she chose to believe a lie instead of her husband. I wonder if her family regrets what they did, or if they have convinced themselves somehow that I deserved it. But those questions do not keep me up at night anymore. I sleep fine now in my own bed, in my own place, with my own peace, because I learned the most important lesson of all. I do not need anyone to believe me for my truth to be real. I know who I am. I know what I did and did not do. I know my character, my integrity, my worth. And that is enough. That is my story. Make of it what you will. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been falsely accused of something? How did you handle it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more real stories about surviving life's hardest moments. And share this with someone who needs to hear that they can survive betrayal and come out stronger. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps someone out there who is going through their own hell. Remember, the truth always comes out eventually. Hold on. Stay strong. You are worth fighting for.